Can you imagine working 12 hours a day and not getting tired? The very first time Pierce, a future personal trainer, stepped on a gym floor, he knew that was it. He didn't have any clients signed, nothing had started yet, but he already knew that's the place he wanted to be. Since then, he says he has never had a bad day at work, even with a difficult client, even working longer hours. How many of us can say that we have never had a bad day at work? Maybe like 1% of the population? Pierce's channel on YouTube now has 2.2 thousand subscribers. In his videos, Pierce motivates people to stay on track and choose the life they deserve and can create for themselves. I personally find his videos enlightening and persuasive and helpful. And there is no wonder, because his own story definitely didn't start as a story of success. He was adopted at birth. His foster mom died when he was 6. He was completely lost for a number of years, not knowing what he was doing. He felt like a victim, his friends abandoned him, and he was suicidally depressed. But he was able to bounce back and create a new life. And this interview is his story. Hey, you know what I'm missing here on YouTube? Conversations with smaller bloggers, like this one, mine with peers, sharing their story while they're still not famous. Sure, I can learn from someone who is already famous and making millions. However, there is too big of a gap between us. But smaller bloggers are someone we can relate to. You can watch another interview of mine with such a blogger following the link somewhere here. By the way, have you noticed that people are usually either talking or listening? For example, I'm a listener myself. That's why I love doing interviews. During our conversation with Pierce, I noticed that he can easily do both, listening carefully and talking unscripted, which is very unique. Let's start with your own story, like things that happened in your life before the channel. So now you are a personal trainer. So maybe you can tell me a little bit more about how you became one.
Yeah. So my journey as far as a trainer goes, and I'll talk about where I'm at professionally currently and where I'm going and whatnot, kind of my vision for the future. But to give it some context, yeah. So when I was growing up my whole life, and even when I went to college, like all of my other friends that I grew up with, it never, I just went to college because I was told to, not because I was like, oh, I really want to study this field and this is a great opportunity and whatnot. I kind of just was one of those students that always just went to class and I didn't understand why I'm here. It came easy to me, so I got relatively good grades, but I never really applied myself. All that to be said is, at least, right, quote unquote, the American dream is, you grow up, you go to college, you get married, you have a spouse and kids, and by the white picket fence, right, the American dream, all that stuff. And part of that dream for a lot of people is working a 9 to 5. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I have many of my friends that are, that's their schedule. But I always knew for me, I would not be happy in an office setting, sitting in the same place every single day in a cubicle doing the same thing. Like I just knew that that wasn't me. And after I graduated college, I did give it a shot. I had 2 stints in my life where I did a desk job for about a year. Absolutely hated both of them. I knew it. I knew it even before I did it, but I was like, I'll just give it a shot just so I can, get the experience. So after college, I was waiting tables at a nice restaurant in downtown San Diego, and I got a job as in this like small sports marketing company. And I love sports, and marketing was part of what I studied. But again, I just hated the desk job. So I sat there and I quit the desk job and decided to just wait tables in the meantime to pay the bills, figure out something deeper, right? And of course, that's what a lot of my channel is about. There's something deeper within inside of us, I think all of us, that yearns for purpose, is to not just do a job to do a job, but to do it and have it have meaning to you personally. And that's how we, from my opinion, really giving our gifts that we've been given to the world. When you're doing something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, that is for a reason. That's what you're guided to do. There's something there that you have to offer, and it's best for the world and it's best for you. So I went on this kind of soul searching journey after I quit that job, and I was just waiting tables. Like, well, what I want to do? I sat with the question for about 6 months or so, and in the beginning, I was, man, how do I figure this out? You know, blah blah blah. So after about 6 months, I was just kind of fed up. I got frustrated, and I had played sports and been an athlete my entire life, and got really into weightlifting during right after high school. So I went to community college and the university, and so when I was frustrated, I was like, ugh, I need to clear my mind. I was like, I'm just gonna go work out, break a good sweat, and then it was ding, it clicked. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is the next part of your journey. You should definitely go into training. You're an athlete. You're into the human body, movement, science, biology, as well as the psychological aspect of working with people and coaching them and whatnot. So yeah, I pursued that path with the intention to be a professional sports trainer for either a major college or a professional sports team. Any American sports team. I had my own some football teams. So that went really well, actually. I got a great internship very quickly at a University of Southern California as a strength and conditioning coach, and I was on the fast track to be a sports trainer for a major sports team. And after living that lifestyle, absolutely miserable in it too. It's just a really hard lifestyle. The ends didn't justify the means for me, personally. Uh, and so I ended up opening up my own personal training business, where I was just coaching and training, John and Jane, just regular people who were looking for weight loss, right? Empower themselves with their health. So I started my own business in Hermosa Beach after that, and just slowly grew out of that. And fast forward to 2014, on Halloween of 2014, I had my first and hopefully only major injury in my life. I popped my Achilles tendon. And this is when my spiritual journey kind of started. Because I had been this like ego person of like, oh, I'm this hot trainer in Southern California. And you know what I mean? I'm meeting all these people and doing all this stuff. And I thought I was so cool. And I had met all these amazing, people who I thought I was so close to. When I popped my Achilles tendon, no one checked on me. No one checked on me. No one was like, hey, can I help you out or what's going on? So it put me in this place of introspection and reflection of like, okay, here I am and I know everybody and have all these friends. I was like, but in my time of need, when I'm at my rock bottom here, I was like, no one's really coming to me, even my family. And so it really started to shift my frame of mind of like, okay, how am I showing up in the world? How is this the reflection of me? What is it I'm putting out? All these relationships are fake then. So I must be being fake. And who have I, all these roles? So I started waking up. And then my friend from college at that point had started visiting me, and he had his like awakening like 3 to 6 months earlier. I don't know, sometime in the year previous. And so he was talking to me throughout these months, October, November, December, whatever. And I woke up on December 31st, 2014, literally New Year's Eve. And that was when I had my consciousness kind of blown open, had my so-called awakening moment. Happens differently for different people. Mine was a gradual buildup from these different events. And then it blew wide open on a day I can remember. And from then it just kind of snowballed into this path of personal development and spirituality. And I met a spiritual mentor and worked with her, really opened my mind to a lot of these more esoteric concepts. She's the one that really helped me understand, things like, meditation, astral projection, extraterrestrial beings, parallel realities, Akashic records, like all these spiritual concepts, right? So she kind of blew my mind open on that. And part of my journey, I had already been coaching people on a physical, tangible level to improve their bodies and really their minds. And that's when it started. And so that's when the whole journey of like, okay, I'm helping people physically, but what I realized when I was training people was yes, I was teaching them good habits and educating them on actual like food and exercise protocols. But it wasn't until I started working with their minds that they would have this shift in their bodies. In other words, they were doing all the right things, and until they had this shift internally, the weight wouldn't really come off. And so that led me to a deeper path of interest and research trying to understand people's psychology and how it works with our transformation. So that's how I kind of went on this path of personal development. And that's kind of where I'm at now. And that's where, I may be jumping ahead, but you had mentioned about, my channel and whatnot and where I'm going. That's kind of where I'm at now in my trajectory. It's more of a spiritual personal development path, understanding that a lot of the things I've learned are um, can be a little abstract, but also are very concrete in personal development and spirituality and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Mhm.
I don't think
Mhm.
that's what we were around what we were looking for there. So
Sure. So was there only, can you say that there was only one event when you said you had this injury and people didn't call, friends disappeared? Do you think there was only one event? Was that enough for this whole life change? Or do you think, or you remember that there were other things also? Like,
yeah,
was it
so
bad enough?
no, yeah, well, exactly. So, to answer your question, it wasn't just that one singular moment. That was when it like a light switch moment, but it really was, thank you for asking that. It really was this entire buildup of my whole life. So to give you some short context, so I was adopted at birth from Seoul, Korea, into a great family, and grew up in Southern California. I've lived an amazing life, and super blessed, super grateful. All that being said, I did have a very tumultuous childhood. So I was adopted into this family. And then my foster mom, died of cancer when I was 6. And my whole family pretty much abandoned my sister and I. And so my whole life I had spent asking these questions. Why am I so different? Why is my family like this? Why am I treated like this? Why don't all my other friends struggle the way I struggle? Why, you know what I mean? Like, why don't I have all these like loving, supportive people in my life? And so my whole life, really, I had spent asking these questions, and in, I guess I'll phrase it as unconscious reflection, just always wondering, like, why am I so different? Like, why? I don't understand. Why do I go through all this stuff? Literally, all my friends are flourishing, everything's all good. So it was really a life of turmoil and pain that had built up, asking myself these questions, even, and that's a big reason I chose to study psychology in college, right? Is to wonder, I'm like, why am I so screwed up? Like, let me figure this out. Like, let me look into my own head. So it really was all these, this whole buildup my entire life, and then that event of uh, tearing my Achilles heel. That's what really started to piece it together. And then when I spoke with my friend, he and I got together, and everything came to light, and I understood kind of how everything before that, my whole life, happened for a reason, and it led me to this point. So it was kind of a build up there, and then yeah, ever since I'm 39 years old now. I was 29 when I awakened, and so now 10 years has just been this, up and down journey of growth and tragedy and triumph, so to speak. So it was kind of a build up my entire life, and then that was kind of the turning point moment, if I had to pinpoint one.
Mhm. So, 29 years living, did you feel, when you were asking yourself those questions, did you feel like a victim, or you were just wondering why it's happening?
You said it. I didn't. I have had, at least from my perspective, and of course, this is a comparison, which is, there's always people that have it better than you and worse than you, right? So, but from my observation, I didn't have the a lot of support that a lot of the people around me had. So I definitely felt like a victim, right? Like, why me? Why me? Like, why is my life suck so bad and all my friends are just crushing it at life in all these different areas? So I had this victim mentality. part of my development after I woke up and met my spiritual mentor and worked with her all through 2015. At the end of 2015, my best friend at the time enrolled me in these emotional intelligence courses in Los Angeles. And it's based off of this training called LifeSpring or EST, which came out in the 70s. And basically, all these different companies now have taken that technology for emotional intelligence and just rebranded it. And the one that I did was in Los Angeles, California. That's what gave me an understanding of victim mentality, right? Am I the victim of my life, or is this, or am I choosing this? And that was definitely another kind of boost or speed boost or jump in my spiritual, mental, emotional development and understanding. But yeah, I
Sorry.
definitely did feel like a victim. Please.
I will interrupt you.
Yeah.
I think it was, how painful was it to realize that you were a victim, that all those years, everything that you were telling to yourself was from the position of a victim? How painful, and for how long it was painful?
Oh my God. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, it was my whole life. I had so much anxiety and depression and overwhelm. I have been suicidally depressed a few different times in my life, and it was extremely painful. So, yeah, that answers your question, right? Like literally rock
Mhm.
bottom, like I can't take anymore. I'm over this life. I don't understand. I just don't want to do this anymore. I had been there a few different times. So it was incredibly painful, right? And as you know, and I'm not, aware of your story entirely, but I would love to get to know more. But I'm sure you're of the similar path of, you've had plenty of painful moments, which is probably why you're asking these questions as well. That
Sure.
yeah, it gets so painful to where you're like, God, like what do I have to do? Like I don't, I can't do it like this anymore. So yeah, it was extremely painful. And then with that comes all the awareness and grief and anger and resentment of the past, right? Because at least for me, that was my process of like, okay, I'm a victim. Okay, I'm not a victim. It's all in my power, but this is all stuff that was given to me from the people around me. Well, why weren't they better and all this stuff? And then I had all this period of, forgiveness and grief and understanding and whatnot. But yeah, it was a lot of pain, a lot of victimhood, a lot of pain for a lot of time. So a lot of hard work to overcome it.
You don't feel like a victim anymore. You
Absolutely not. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you were able to. How long did it take to change the mentality?
Um, yeah, so again, just to put it linearly or somewhat linearly, at 29, I woke up. I did those emotional intelligence courses, I think in when I was like 30 or 30 and 31. And I would say it was intense. I mean, once I woke up and got started on the personal spiritual development path 10 years ago, I mean, it was an intense and full committed, dedicated effort for, I mean, obviously for the past 10 years, but it really clicked to where I was like, oh, I'm really starting to get it now. Probably in the last like 2024. So probably right after COVID. So like 2020. So in the past like 4 years or so, 3, 4 years, it was like it really quick. So pretty much after COVID, I would say, yeah, 2021, about 3 years or so.
But those were the things that really helped you to start, let's say, the journey.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah. That and then the mentor that I was working with for that year for 2015 was extremely powerful. I mean, she opened me up to uh just a very high level of spirituality, spiritual, understanding and wisdom, starting to look back on a lot of that stuff. So yeah, that's a whole nother section I haven't even tapped into in my own channel yet, but I will. But yeah, it's kind of been the journey so far, but yeah.
Do you think you would have been able to do it on your own, or we always need people around us to help us?
I mean, I'm sure I would have, but I think that, and you can do it on your own. That's one thing that I kind of coach and preach on my own channels that, we're all trying to get the analogy is we're all trying to get to the top of the mountain, right? And you can make your way on whatever path you want to get there. You can go way over here, or you can do the one that everyone does, or there's no right or wrong way to do it. So I say that because I could have done it by myself, but I know that I'm super kind of guided and protected spiritually, all these things. So I know that that was, I was led to that for a reason, just the way it all fell into place and whatnot. Um, but absolutely, I mean, I think community, when you can have, I think one, when you can have a mentor or a group or community, and most importantly, individually, when you have a sense of humility, when you can be humble. I think that's one of the biggest lessons is being humble. At least for me, it has been. And you're willing to learn from others. It's incredibly powerful, and you can kind of skip steps or skip levels or like speed up your progress. So sure, we can do it on our own, but I mean, we all need each other, right? As human beings, it's how we're wired. We thrive as a community, as once we're
Mhm.
together.
What was the most painful part on that journey to transform yourself? What was the hardest one?
Forgiving my past, um forgiving, I even went back and, I've done a lot. That's what a lot of this work is about: healing. It's about healing traumas, family karmas, stuff that's been passed down to you through generations that hasn't been yours. Just an energetic karmic cycle that repeats itself until somebody comes in your family line and breaks it. And so for me, it was forgiving even my birth mother, who I've never met, for giving me up for adoption, forgiving my foster mom for dying at 6, right? And it sounds familiar, but you develop these things when you're young, you don't even realize. And I'm actually in the process of doing a lot of that stuff right now with my mom. And then forgiving my dad for, not showing up the way that I needed him to, even though he was doing the best he could. And forgiving all of my family for not being there, and, forgiving all these people in my life and experiences that basically have reinforced all of these really painful situations and beliefs that I built around those from my past. So that was, I'd say, the most challenging and difficult part is the forgiveness part. And, and then there's a portion of self-forgiveness, right? Knowing that you were just a kid, you were and still are doing the best you can. You just gotta, you know what I mean? Understand you're human and be compassionate towards yourself and kind of move forward. So I'd say the most difficult part is the forgiveness part, the letting go, the
Mhm.
letting, like just letting it go. Like it was the way that it happened and it sucked, and there's nothing we can do about it now. It's
No matter
yeah,
how painful it was, we
yeah.
can. Mhm.
You can't do anything. Yeah, go ahead.
Is forgiving and understanding, are they the same way? The same things? Or
I
can you just
think
like wholeheartedly forgive? Is it possible? Or you can just understand why it happened?
I think I can only speak for myself personally. I think it's probably forgiveness is one of those things that will have different meanings and will be a different process for each person, depending on their past experiences, and they may have a different process and understanding in order to be at peace with it. To me, forgiveness is a few things. It's understanding from a higher perspective why things happened, and that understanding allows me to accept it. And once I understand it and accept it, then I can practice the forgiveness. And the act of forgiveness is a practice. It's consistently reminding myself that, hey, the understanding that this is what happened and this is the reason why, and you know that now. You didn't know that then, neither did they. They were doing the best they can, even if it was crappy and it didn't, it wasn't like the way it wasn't all like sunshine and ribs. It was, really ugly or whatever. They really were doing the best they could, or they weren't, but then they didn't know. Does that let them off the hook and say, oh, it's not, it's not okay? No, I think forgiveness, a lot of people, they think that it's like letting someone off the hook, or it's like forgetting about what happened. And to me, I'm like, that's not what it is at all. forgiveness is not for the other person. You don't even need that other person to be there. Forgiveness is releasing yourself of the emotional baggage that, or I'll speak for myself, releasing myself of the emotional baggage that I'm holding on to from the past so that I can be free, so that I can be free energetically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and not carry around all this anger or sadness or self-sabotaging behaviors when I come into similar situations that feel like the past. So it's an understanding and it's a practice, and I don't think it ever stops. Just like personal development, just like progress in our lives, I don't think it ever stops. Like I think it comes up over and over, and it always will, because it's a part of us. But if we have that practice of forgiveness, understanding that just like shooting a basketball or practicing a foreign language or swinging a golf club or cooking or whatever, it's practice. You get better at it because you practice. And then once you get better and better, then it becomes easier and easier until it's kind of automatic. And then you're consistently just letting go of all this heavy stuff. That's what it means to me.
Mm, that's a great point. I've never thought of that. I thought we forgive, and that's a stable state of mind. We have forgiven, but you're saying it's a progress. So that's interesting. Basically, we're going through constant pain if we have to forgive all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, because the way I see it is like this: you will have forgiven somebody in a past situation, and you'll have moved on in your life, and you really, true, wholeheartedly have forgiven and moved on. And I have. That's why I can be at peace and make progress now. But what I've noticed with myself and others is that a lot of, from my perspective, why we're here, why our souls are here, why we're here as humans, Earth is a school. It's a spiritual school. So when we've wholeheartedly forgiven and moved on from a situation, there's lessons there that are powerful lessons that you will not forget because it was a painful situation. It's an unforgettable situation or experience, relationship, whatever. So once we wholeheartedly forgive and we're at peace with that and we move forward, as you move forward, there will be some obstacles or things that trigger you, and that trigger will be related to that past thing that you've forgiven. So it will bring up that old pain. It will bring up this new situation, will trigger that old experience and go, oh God, this girl reminds me of my past. Like, oh God, here we go again. Or, oh, this is another guy that's just like my freaking brother or my uncle that used to beat me or whatever. And so then it's, again, that pain comes back in. And then so it's a practice, it's a forgiveness, it's you go back in and you heal another layer. I see it as like an onion, right? You've peeled one layer, you've healed one layer. Now you're in a new situation. You're about to break through in your life. So that pain comes up again. You heal another layer so that you can let go of another layer of baggage. Then you go up again. Mm-hmm. That's at least kind of how I've come to experience and understand it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's an interesting, and I think it's a very helpful perspective.
Yeah, the work never stops, Anna. True. I wish it did.
You have become a personal trainer. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about this, because in one of your videos you mentioned that the first time you went to the gym, you felt completely comfortable with the environment and you felt like you wanted to be there. So how does it feel when you feel that it feels right?
Okay. So that was the first time in my life where, and I guess it's interesting. Thank you for asking me this question, because I'm realizing in this moment with you, that's the first time in my life I really understand or understood without consciously knowing what alignment is. Understanding what it means to be in alignment and flow with your purpose, with your soul, with the universe. Because as I shared earlier in the conversation about, I knew that personal training was something that would be good for me and aligned with all my values, my interests. And then when I got in the gym, that first day, I worked at 24 Hour Fitness in Hermosa Beach, just a big box gym. And I hadn't even trained anybody yet, didn't even have any clients. And I stepped on the gym floor, and yeah, I knew immediately. I was like, oh, this feels like home. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
That's amazing. It was the very first time when you came to the gym.
Very first time. The first day on the job I got hired, I knew it. I was like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I had never experienced a feeling like that, like feeling so comfortable and happy and like fulfilled and like, oh yeah, this is it.
I think there is no way to feel like this if you're working 9 to 5 at a desk, right? I think for most people.
Yeah, so and here's what I'll say, and goes back to what I was talking about the top of the mountain journey, right? So everybody, that top of the mountain is your most fulfilling, happiest life. It's your most, whatever that looks like to you. And I think, and everyone has to find their own path. So for me, it's not 9 to 5, but I do have friends that genuinely, I think that they are happy. You know, some people don't want that freedom. They do just want to go to work and get a paycheck and then shut their brain off and just kind of be in the system, and you know what I mean, and get their vacation days and just spend time with their family, and like, and again, you know, and that's a lot of my friends too, and that's great. I don't think that at least for me, I, you know, as I shared in the conversation earlier, I knew that 9 to 5 isn't fulfilling for me, for my personality, but to some it might give them everything they need, right? It might give them everything they need. um as what I truly believe deep down though is, you know, people, everybody has a specific, you know, a purpose here on earth or whatever. And for a lot of us, especially that are doing things like this, personal development and spirituality and stuff, you realize, or at least again, I'll speak for myself, I realize there's something much greater out there than just being like a cog in the wheel. Like there's a bigger impact that I'm supposed to have. There's something that I'm supposed to do that can help more people in a more meaningful and impactful way, and also align and help me create the lifestyle that I'm currently creating. But yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, God bless them. The people that can do like 9 to 5, or you know what I mean? Like I keep thinking of one of my buddies, Joey, who is very successful. He's like the VP of like a big accounting company, you know, and but I mean, I remember during Super Bowl week, or even then, or busy in the tax season out here, right? He was working like 70 hours a week, like literally 70 hours a week. We had a Super Bowl party and he stopped by for 30 minutes and was like, I have to go back to work, but I just wanted to come by and say hi. And I'm like, dude, what kind of life are you living? Like, you know, but he's very successful. He's very happy, has a beautiful family, you know, and has a very fulfilling life. So, you know, it's worked out for him. But for me, I can't. I know personally, it's been revealed to me what I'm supposed to do, you know, my purpose, what I'm here for.
What bothers you the most? What bothered you the most in an office environment?
The lack of freedom, the restriction, having to be you know, be at the mercy of a company that doesn't care about me, be at the mercy of you know, a boss that may or may not like me, and coworkers, and be around people that I may or may not like, and doing something that I may or may not like, and you know, and then building this lifestyle around the paycheck, so I'm a slave and I'm locked in and I can't leave even if my boss is an a-hole and my coworkers are terrible. It's a toxic work environment. I hate what I do. I built this lifestyle around a paycheck, so I'm stuck and I can't move. That restriction, the confinement, that's what kills me more than anything. It's one of my strongest, probably my strongest and most important value as a human being is freedom. It's freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of action, freedom of movement, freedom. I can, you know, to be able to be free, not at the mercy of anyone else's, you know, mood of the day, or you know what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really what got me about the environment.
Yeah, so it's actually not about working long hours. You can work longer hours if you like your job. You can work 70 hours a week if you like it. So it's not about the hours, it's more about the environment, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, and then going back to the personal training, I mean, I would have days where I'm working 12-hour, 14-hour days, right? And I'm, you know, and
You're
that it's like a
fine.
physical, yeah, and I'm fine, but I'm tired, but I'm like, I'm fine. I never once, I probably have over 9,000 one-on-one sessions, hundreds of like group classes, all these things. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, can even with clients that weren't the easiest, I swear I never had a bad session because I just enjoyed what I was doing.
Mhm.
It didn't matter. So you're exactly right. I agree with you entirely.
I can imagine you mentioned already that people are, it's not purely about the physical transformation, but I can imagine that people are coming to you with all sorts of stories and life struggles. And can you think of course, without mentioning any names, but of an example of a person who came to you and he was able to overcome because he went to the gym, he was training, or she was training with you, who had really like some issues with the body, but on the
Hmm.
top of that, some psychological also issues or problems, and they were able to overcome it in the gym.
Absolutely, absolutely. Almost all of them. Well, almost all of them, that the ones that really had the physical results that they wanted, they achieved the body that they wanted. And of course, there were some exceptions, but a lot of the people that achieved the body they wanted and had this huge physical transformation and literally became a different person. I mean, you look at them and be like, what? Like, who is this? Those people absolutely also had the biggest mental and internal transformation. Um, and there's a book that I'll recommend to everybody if you have not read it. It was, I believe, it was written in the 70s. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. It was recommended by one of my old mentors, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And basically, very short version of the book is the premise is he was a plastic surgeon and noticed that he gives this example: two identical men, very similar, with the same scar on their face, came in for plastic surgery in their lives. They hated themselves, their lives, they thought it was all from the scar. He would do the same surgery on both these guys, and they both pretty much have the same results, like look like a different person. The scar was gone. One guy would go on and all of a sudden change overnight and have the most prosperous, amazing life. The other guy would still continue feeling like a piece of crap, like he's worthless and whatnot. And so Maxwell Maltz was like, well, what is that? Like, I don't understand. They both did it. What's going on? So he looked deeper and came to the understanding that it comes to our own psyche and how we view our self-image, the identity that we have. And this goes down to our belief system. So, for instance, if you come from a family, if you're a man or a woman, and you come from a family where no one's taking care of themselves, everybody, right, in the U.S., unfortunately, it's more common, than I wish it were. And no one takes care of themselves. Everyone's very overweight. You have a history of heart disease and asthma and all these other things. And you're like, I don't want to be like that. I want to get in shape. I want to empower myself with my health. I don't want to look like this. I don't want to feel like this. And you try to break through. Now, even though you're doing all the things and you're losing some weight, you've got such a strong family identity that's been passed down to you, your support system, the people you be around, that is probably saying to you unconsciously, that's not you. We're not these fit, healthy, good looking people. We eat like this, we don't, whatever. And so there's this identity internally that even though physically you're becoming a more fit, healthier version of yourself, you've got this identity of who you were in the past. And so it's not until you switch your identity that I'm going to be Pierce, the new fit, healthy version who's going to be strong and flexible and energetic and eats right. Until you switch that identity into the new version of you, it's very hard to break out. And it's non-linear. It can happen where you get all these physical results, then sooner or later you catch up here. Or, like I said, a lot of people that would struggle, I'd work on their mental, we'd talk about this stuff, and then all of a sudden when we work through some of their beliefs and psychological things, the results would happen overnight. It was like they would just, all of a sudden the weight would fall off. It was wild.
Mhm. So first of all, the psychological work, and then the physical results will come. But how long? Let's imagine a person, addictions. I mean, drinking, smoking, not necessarily addictions, but unhealthy lifestyle, depression, everything. The job they don't like, debts, everything. how long does it take from the moment they come to the gym to achieving any sort of results from your personal experience? Like imagine like the worst situation you have seen, or one of the worst situations.
So it can happen so quickly, Anna. I mean, if someone's really ready and they are committed, like if somebody comes in mentally that in their mind they've already made up that they're going to be a healthy person, that they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, as it were, and I no longer want to look like this and feel like crap, and I no longer want to take my shirt off at the beach and be the the fat dad that is embarrassed in front of his kids and his family. When they come, if there's people that come in ready mentally and they're already there and they've already committed internally and they just need the tools. In other words, I don't know how to eat healthy and change my habits. I don't know how to lift weights or exercise properly in like a structured manner. I mean, it can happen in weeks, months, or weeks in a month. I mean, if someone comes in ready to go, again, it's really that internal readiness, that shift that has to happen. But the body can change very rapidly, very, very rapidly. It just depends again on if you're ready for that transformation. And that goes with anything in our lives. And again, that's when when I'm teaching and practicing and coaching now, that can happen anywhere in our lives. If you're sick and tired of being broke, and you're really coming in and you're like, I am so sick and tired of being broke. Like, I'm done. I'm over it. It's a mindset shift. It's an identity shift. It can happen very quickly. You can start to get back on your feet. You can start to pay down your debts. You're starting to educate yourself. Now all of a sudden these opportunities are opening up. Now you're meeting different people. Now you're thinking about money differently. Now you're seeing all the possibilities to open up avenues of making money in your life. That can happen very quickly too, and I think so with relationships too, it just, all these things, it really just depends on breaking down, as we've discussed during this conversation, the mental and really emotional and spiritual blocks is what it is. It's really the emotional and spiritual and mental blocks that stop us.
The thing I want to ask you about, because I think it plays a major role in people's life and people's transformation, it's the question of choice. So the choices that we make and how fast we are able to make a choice. Yeah. We have two jobs, let's say. Which one should we choose? Or we have two people who like us. Which one should we choose? Two trips, where to go to. And I think these small choices can really, really have a huge impact on the next 10 years of our life. How fast are you at making choices? And what would you advise to people who want to make choices but can't?
Yeah, I would say at this point in my life, I'm more clear on who I am than I've ever been in my life. I'm more empowered than I've ever been in my life. I'm healthier, more intelligent, wise, and experienced than I've ever been in my life. So at this point, decisions are made quickly, and I'm crystal clear. Especially when I give myself the space and the container and the practices to clarify what choice or decision I need to make, depending on whatever the decision is that needs to be made. So at this point, so decisions, yeah, I mean, our life is just made up of choices. Now, and so in the second part of your question, I'm sorry, you said, so how good am I at making decisions or choices? And then
Yes.
what is my advice to people who have trouble, who are indecisive and have trouble making decisions?
Right.
So there's a few things there. So I think that indecision comes from a few things. Lack of confidence and lack of clarity. So, and it's really about fear. In other words, look at it like this. If somebody has a very difficult choice, say there's only two choices, it's black or it's white, and they're like, man, I choose black. Crap, is that the right decision? I don't know. I think I should choose white. Oh God, but look at black. What should I do? So that tells me that someone has a lack of trust within themselves. They don't trust themselves to stick with the quote unquote right decision. And so that's why they're indecisive. And what that comes from is fear. fear of making a mistake, fear of failure, or, I'm scared of whatever the consequences. So then again, it's lack of confidence, lack of trust within themselves. And it's based on fear that, oh, I'm going to miss out or whatever, right? And what I actually made a video on this recently, I think over the past couple of weeks about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the video was, I titled it something along the lines of, you can do no wrong, trust yourself, or trust yourself, you can do no wrong. And in that video, what I talk about is you've got to just trust your heart, not necessarily your mind, because if your mind, you don't make decisions with just your mind, and you don't make decisions with just your heart. You make decisions with both. So you follow the calling of your heart, but you use your mind, your intellect, in order to bridge the gap and do it in a practical way. And the reason I say you can do no wrong and why decisions are so easy is because if you make a decision and it's quote unquote the wrong decision, well, it wasn't really the right decision. Your soul led you to make that decision. Your heart, something within you, you made that decision. And even though the outcome wasn't what you wanted, what it did do was it taught you a valuable lesson. And oftentimes it's our bad decisions and bad experiences that create the pain that teach us the most valuable lessons that we need to learn. So therefore, if you make a decision and it doesn't lead to the outcome that you want, you didn't make a wrong decision. You've created an incredible learning experience for yourself by making that quote unquote bad decision. So it was painful. So now you won't make that mistake again, or hopefully not. And if you do, then you're going to look at it and go, God, I did it again. So you need to learn the lesson there from the bad decision. And then that's wisdom, right? And then you won't hopefully make that same bad decision. That's why you can do no wrong. And then if you chose the other way and it worked out great, well, then great. Now you're building confidence that, oh, I can trust this heart of mine to lead me in the right direction. I thought it through and it all worked out great. So then you're building confidence. So you really can't make a wrong decision. You're either going to learn from it or you're going to prosper and learn from it. But you'll prosper and learn from it. It's just two different sides of the same coin. In other words, one of the sayings I always say is the universe will always try to teach you through love first. And if you don't learn through love, it'll teach you through pain. So your decisions, you're either going to work out great and the universe is like, great, he got it, she got it. You learn through love. And if you didn't, you're going to learn through pain. So there's no right or wrong. Yes, we want to not hopefully experience the pain, but that's inevitable. That's just life, like we were talking about. It is what it is,
Important is to notice this moment, to capture this moment when we are taught through love, so we don't have to be taught through pain.
Ideally.
Ideally. I want to ask you the following question. So sometimes on my channel, I post travel videos. So let's say I travel somewhere to another country, another city. So I make a video, and sometimes it happens that, for example, I don't like the city where I went to, and I mention about that in the video, and then I post it, and people just go crazy in the comments. I had no idea that what people really what they're writing me in the comments are like, and for example, they have never even been in that city that I have been to, and they're talking about. So they're telling me that the reason you didn't like the city is because of you are this and this and that.
Not personal attacks. Yeah.
Yeah. So the city is not to blame. You are to blame. The city is perfect. You are not perfect. That's why you didn't like the city. So
how dare you have a negative opinion, right?
And it can be even about the city that I have never been to, which leads me to the question. I've always thought that we can choose freely where to live. For example, based on the fact that we like or we don't like the city. But turned out that people don't think this way. They think that we create the environment and we should be where we are, because how come we don't like where we live? We cannot go anywhere. We should just stick where we are and create the environment. But I personally think that the environment is important. If you live somewhere you don't like, you cannot do a lot of good, positive things. Yeah, you don't have energy. So I'm very interested in your opinion about that.
Yeah, so your question is, does environment matter? What's the role environment plays on us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
And there's also something else in there that I'll say that I think you were hinting at, kind of like an unspoken or unasked question. So one thing to remind you of, Anna, when you put out that video and you're getting negative comments, there's two things. We're all mirrors for people or for each other in our lives, right? So what people see in you that they like and they don't like, it's just a reflection of themselves. When you put out something that's very vulnerable, where you're, critiquing a city and it's just your own opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since you're critiquing what you don't like and you're putting that out, there's nothing wrong with that. But then look what you got back. You're all of a sudden getting critiques about what other people don't like, not about the city, but about you, because you're the. So, in other words, it has nothing to do with you. You were
Mm-hmm.
the trigger. So, you triggered that in them, and they're projecting that negativity onto you, right? So, that's why it comes across as a personal attack. So, it's like, so that was kind of one thing there. So all that to say, uh, don't take it personally, right? Because how other people react and respond to us, it really is just a projection of how they are internally. It's that whole thing like hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. And then to answer your actual question, environment is everything. It's everything. Environment just isn't in the physical location you're at. It's what you're consuming. It's the people that you're around. It's your job. It's the food you're eating. It's what you're drinking, you're putting in your body. It's what you watch on TV or on YouTube or on social media. It's the people. Yeah, it's everything. Environment is everything. In other words, the saying is, right, you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with, right? Well, if you're trying to be a millionaire and you're hanging out with a bunch of people who are super broke and in a ton of debt, I mean, that is not that energy that you're around. You're in a different mentality and a different energy rather than being in a group of five other millionaires and you look at them and go, oh my God, I'm not a millionaire, but Jesus, I'm so inspired and the possibilities that I see and how easy they make it look. And now they're my friends, so I can actually get like tangible guidance and coaching. Oh my God, like I'm fast tracked to be a millionaire. So your environment is everything. It is absolutely everything. If you're in a toxic work environment, everyone in there is just complaining and oh my God, our boss is so terrible and the pay is stupid and I hate this job and blah, blah, blah. And they're just, again, the victim mentality, like
Mm-hmm.
we talked about, even though you are in this place of consciousness of awareness and you're doing your best to just, freaking like the Matrix, dodge all this bad energy, like, you know what I mean? Get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. You're in there. You cannot escape it. And little by little, it creeps in. So your environment is everything. It's everything. I mean, I shared with you, I'm in Las Vegas right now. I can't wait to move back to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I moved out here for a very specific reason, a very specific intention. And I'm reminded constantly, daily, that I miss home, that I will move back to Southern California as soon as I can. As soon as some things that I came here to do are completed, I'm moving back home
Mm-hmm.
because there's, here's another example of environment. My dog is like my son. He's amazing. He's the sweetest little boy. And I'm coming from San Diego, which is probably, I mean, I would confidently say it's got to be the most or one of the most dog friendly towns in the entire country, probably the world. Like everybody has a dog. Everybody takes their dog everywhere, restaurants, stores, whatever. Everyone's super cool. Like it's just a very dog friendly town. I move out to Las Vegas where it's like 110 degrees for like 3.5, 4 months out of the year in the summer. It's literally so hot you can't go outside. So I'm going from being able to be outdoors in the sunshine, on the beach, in the ocean, at the park, in the grass with my dog 3 times a day, have all this freedom and be outdoors, which is who I am and the lifestyle that I prefer, to being confined in my apartment and not even be able to take him out for a walk because it's so hot. And that uh, inhibition of my lifestyle, not being able to do and live the way that I want, it's incredibly impactful. It's incredibly impactful. So that's like a very tangible way that I could describe how important your environment is. Like Are we dealing with it? Yeah. Again, reminding myself I'm here for a specific intention, specific purpose. Use this dissatisfaction I'm having with my current environment as motivation to get done what I need to get done in order to move back. But how much happier would I be if I was, working for myself and living back out in California again, and I wake up and have my coffee or walk to the coffee shop, get a coffee, walk over there and, take my dog to the park, let him run around, say hi to my little dog park friends and coffee in the morning, super peaceful. Oh my God, I can't wait. Already you can even just hear me talking about it, the energy,
your voice is changing when you're
it's
talking
so,
about that.
It's so important, Anna. It's so important. It's so important.
So these people writing about cities are wrong from my perspective too.
Well, here's the thing. And again, what that is it's a projection. So it could be like this. You are giving your honest, humble experience and opinion of the city, which you should. You're being vulnerable. That's how you should. You should speak honestly. These people, that might be all they've ever known or had, and they're terrified of change and moving. So you attacking the city is like a personal attack to them. And so now that's when they get defensive and they're like, well, you're personally attacking me because I identify and I am this city. So I'm going to personally attack you because you're this and that. And so that's where it comes from. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's really where they're coming from, right? They, that's all they know. That's all they have. And they don't want to move. They're scared to, or whatever, or they're just happy there. So yeah, it's like, that personal attack on the city is a personal attack on them. So I'm going to personally attack you. And that's how, the mirror, right? The mirror concept, the reflection works.
I was surprised to discover that travel videos are the videos that get the most amount of haters. Just simple travel videos. You cannot say anything negative about any city because there will be someone coming there and telling you, no, that's you. So on,
Absolutely.
so forth. Piers, I want to talk to you briefly about your channel. And you started it 3 years ago. Yeah. What motivated you to start it?
Yeah. So I actually started my channel, I'd say like 9 years ago or 8 years ago, but it was purely a fitness channel. I started it as a fitness YouTube channel, kind of like a vlog / educational type channel, with one of my good buddies at the time and old training partners. And he blew up. He's at 370,000 subscribers now and has crushed it. And but I realized the fitness thing, the way I was going about it, was not for me. There's nothing wrong with it. I have tons of friends, obviously, in the fitness industry still, but just me working out with my shirt off, looking like all ripped. It just didn't seem authentic to me, even though like, yeah, sure. This is me. I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. It just wasn't the way I wanted to do it. So I restarted it a couple of years ago. Yes, but really only got back into full commitment and dedication. Like this time around, I'm going to do it until I'm full time and doing it. Really when I just moved out here in April. But I have had it for a long time. So what motivated me really to start it this last time? Well, part of where I'm at this point in my life, I feel that sure, I know that I don't know anything. I really don't. I have so much to learn. But I've had some personal experiences and worked through some very powerful lessons and traumas and pain in my life, and have also coached many people, not only just personal training, but for a while I was doing life coaching. I actually wrote a book and had a podcast at the time, so I was kind of doing life coaching. And I know that what I was teaching and working with people on was really having tangible impacts on their lives, such as like my friend's dad hired me, and I've never been married or anything, but they said, him and his wife said I saved their marriage. I don't know how. Well, I do and I don't, right? Or like, helping another really good friend find the partner, identified that he was in the wrong relationship, got out of it, even though he thought he was stuck, and then he ended up meeting the woman of his dreams. Now he's married with 2 kids, things like this. And so all that to be said, why did I start my channel? I know that my purpose on earth is to help people. And I know that this is the best way that I can do it, more than just the physical. Of course, I can still coach people on that. That's knowledge and experience that's there. But now it's to a much grander scale in a much greater way. If I can help people change their mind, their identity, heal their traumas, and reprogram the belief system by helping them understand, I can support people in truly empowering them and understanding that everything in your life is of your creation. Your life today, whether you like it or not, is a result of what you've thought and behaved and felt about and up to this point, all of your attitudes, everything. So if you want a different life, starting today, little by little, we start changing those things and put you on that trajectory to start leading you to where you want to be. That's why I started my channel, is really just to empower people and share what I've learned so far and what I'm continuing to learn.
So you're posting like longer videos, motivational videos where you talk, and then you have shorts also. Most of them are from the gym with motivational quotes. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I just wanted to ask you what vision do you have for your channel? So what do you wanna be in 5 years? So it's the question that we're always asked. What do you want your channel to be in 5 years? Do you have any vision?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My channel will be a place will be a successful channel. I'm not really worried about the number. I know that I'll garner a lot of attention by helping people. And so I'm not really worried about the number. The number will be what it is. I know it's gonna be up there, whatever up there is, right? A couple 100,000 plus whatever it ends up being, right? It's kind of doesn't really matter at this point. Or right now it does, because I'm smaller, but I know it'll get to a point where it really doesn't matter. But vision for my channel is to be a place of support and understanding, that people can come and feel understood and supported for their situation. So as they wake up and kind of have their spiritual awakening, go down their path, a lot of the times people that I talk to and work with are the people in their family that are what I call the curse breakers, or the trauma breakers, or the cycle breakers, meaning they're the first one that's become awakened in their family line. And so it can be very alienated, you feel very isolating, you feel like the black sheep, like you're very different. So I want it to be a place of support and understanding for people, and empowerment. In other words, I want them, after watching my videos and engaging with whatever content or materials I produce, to become empowered, to help them feel supported, understood, and empowered, that I know, okay, what I want for my life, and I'm going to build it. And now I know how, and I have a supportive community behind me of other people who are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I saw that you're posting videos quite often. How much time does it take you during the day? How much time did you allocate for YouTube?
Yeah, not much, to be honest. But it's funny you asked me that. I'm in a transition right now. So currently, it doesn't take me more than an hour and a half to do everything, because I have a process. You're asking about my actual technical process. So I go in and I'll write and do some reading just to clear my own thoughts. And then once I've cleared out my own internal junk by journaling and kind of getting my head right, then I'm kind of in this clear, energetic space. And I think to myself, I'm like, well, what would be what are some lessons that I'm learning in my own life? What is my perspective on these challenges I'm overcoming, how I'm facing them? And what value would this be to people out there on my channel, my audience, or just whatever, humans, or the guy next to me in the coffee shop? What do people need to hear as it relates to this topic? And then that's when I'll kind of write episode, this is I'll start with the title, right? And then I'll kind of go through the body, whatever kind of comes up. and then I usually end with a quote, and that's the structure. And I'll just do it on my phone in my car, and I'll do a quick thumbnail, and then I pretty much just upload it raw and then just make a thumbnail. So it's not that much time right now, but talking about that book I mentioned earlier, Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, highly recommend everybody read that book. I'm actually going to reread it after my current read. I watched a video game streamer the other day. This guy's name is Brian Menard. He plays video games for a reason, or for a living. And he was talking about, someone had asked him, gave him like a super chat. So he was like streaming a video game live, and somebody gave him like a super chat, a donation, and said, "Hey, Brian, I'm starting my video game channel or whatever." He's like, the young man's question was, "What should I do to grow the channel or whatever?" And he's like, in the beginning when I was growing my channel, he said something that really clicked with me. He said, what's the number of subscribers that you want to have? For me, it was 100,000. He's like, if you want to be 100,000 subscriber YouTube channel, then you need to make 100,000 subscriber content. And I was like, I mean, very simple and makes sense, but for some reason it clicked when I heard it from him, because I was looking at his content and I'm like, this guy's just playing video games, and he has a little picture of himself down here while he's playing video games. And like, he's a solid dude. He's just like a good dude. It's more, I just watch it as like part of the community and some entertainment. And it clicked for me. And I was like, okay, the first time I went around and did this with my fitness partner, if I watch his channel, the way his videos and content evolved, he got better on camera. He got so good at editing. He planned out his episodes to where it was like educational and entertaining, and he had all the flashy stuff like a professional editor, and the content was there. His knowledge has always been there, and he started making these beautiful thumbnails. So I look at his content and I'm like, yeah, he looks like a YouTuber. He is a YouTuber with 400,000 people. So in my mind, I was like, and that's the transition I'm in. That's what I'm kind of digesting. And this only came up in the past few days, where I'm going to sit down, right? And it's something hopefully for you to think about too. Well, what does my content look like when I have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000?
Right.
Am I going to be sitting in this chair with this plant behind me, or am I going to have a more aesthetic background? Am I going to be filming videos on my phone in my car, or am I going to pull out my professional camera and have it focused where the back is blurry and create an ambiance? What is my hook line? How is my presentation? How is this uniform? What's my branding? So I've been starting to think about those things. I'm like, how am I going to elevate my content? And so it's going to start taking a long time, but this is my plan. I mean, I will be full-time doing this, So I feel like the essence, the knowledge, the experience of my message is going to be the same, but now it's about me packaging it, and I'm sure it'll get better. My delivery will get better. It'll be more concise, more on the point. So I'm sitting here reflecting. I'm like, I need to do shorter videos, 10 to 15 minutes max, and start playing with these things, polish my content, everything, like lighting, for instance. I'll have the lighting like just these little things. I'm like, so it's going to start taking a lot more time, but at first it's taking a lot of time because I'm learning new skills, I'm changing things, but then I'm sure it'll be an automatic process, right? Where I'm like, okay, I do this, I come in and I find out, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm at, 100,000, 200,000 plus.
Yeah.
Long answer, but yeah.
But important is still to stay sincere, and because I have noticed this trend on YouTube in the last 5 years that everyone is trying to become a professional. YouTube is becoming like a TV, but it was not born this way. It was born as we're just here talking in front of the camera. So I think it's important also not to lose this part of the content.
Absolutely. Well, I agree entirely. And the thing that I focus on the most, and then I've gotten a lot of feedback on my channel about that, is, man, this is so refreshing because it's authentic. Like, it's raw, it's real. Like, you're just in your car speaking from the heart. And I'm like, yeah, this is what it's about. So I feel like as long as I maintain that unfiltered rawness, speaking from my heart, just like I'm speaking to you, the packaging will look different, but it's just me. It'll just still be me talking to the camera, being me, So yeah, I agree entirely. And what I've also realized is like you can't fake it on YouTube or anything else. Like you know what I mean? Like this isn't an act. Like this is me. I'm a Southern California bro with my hat on and my tank top. Like this is me. You know what I mean? And so sure, maybe I'll put on a shirt and like do my hair differently, and that's fine, whatever. But the message is still going to be me just talking to the camera from my heart. So I agree. But yeah, that's a great reminder for me too. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's what I have been thinking about in terms of my content also. I cannot beat television, right? It's just me. So the last question, the short one, is how does your day look like? So you wake up in the morning and what is your schedule?
So I wake up anywhere from right now, since my job is at night, I wake up, I don't get home till late, and then I fall asleep late. So I usually wake up, but I'm still an early riser. So I wake up anywhere from 7 to 9 in the morning typically, or 6 to 9, just depends on if I work the night before or whatnot. So I wake up 6 to 9, and then I'll usually come out and I'll make some coffee, take my dog out, kind of chill, and then I'll take a shower and meditate, and then I'll usually at some point, maybe around like 9 or 10 or maybe even 11, I'll go out to a coffee shop or a cafe. I'll do writing and reading whatever book I'm at. So I'll meditate, I write, I read pretty much every. I mean, I'm pretty much every day. And then depending on if I'm doing a video that day, when I get out of the cafe, I'll do a video, and then I'll usually go to the gym, come home from the gym, make lunch. At that point, I'll post the video and then, or not, and then I'll spend time with my dog. And if I have the day off, I'll figure out, what to do for the rest of the day. But if I don't, then at that point, I kind of just relax and start getting ready for work. And then that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it on a typical day right now. But yeah, I can also tell, like I was sharing about my YouTube, about what I do, I can tell that it's my structure, my routine is about to change, because I'm gonna start investing more time and energy into, how to how to elevate my content.
So you're getting ready for work. So in the afternoon until the evening, you work at a gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so I work at night. And yeah, so pretty much my entire day is free, and then I just work at night, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's not, sometimes it sucks working late, but I mean, to have my entire day free and be able to do whatever I need to do or want to do, like I was saying, freedom is everything to me. So it's nice.
That's the dream of all of us, or most of us.
Yep.
So I'm happy that you have done a lot of efforts to make it happen.
Thank you.